What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the fifth installment of Cold Takes from the Land.
Cold Takes from the Land, where we get the coldest takes from the hottest Cleveland sports fans.
And we're pretty hot today, buddy, because, hot damn it, we done beat the Niners. How about it, buddy?
Here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. I feel like it's Christmas today, buddy.
I know, it feels like fucking Christmas, New Year's, the Super Bowl, day of being birthed all over again, buddy. But, picked up a big old...
Exactly. Let's not lie about it. I mean, I predicted this. 19-17 Browns win, right?
You're right, yeah. What's funny is I said the exact same thing. Go back, watch the tape. No,
so
but
we hit the nail on the head. Exactly.
Yeah, we were correct. And with that, thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it. No, I'm just kidding. But this went about as far opposite as I think either of us were expecting. We're going to get into it with our 3 things we liked, 3 things we disliked. But, man, what a roller coaster ride of emotions. A little information I'll put out there. I pulled a muscle in my leg. I was celebrating so hard. So if you guys want to know what my reaction was like.
I didn't even know that until just now. I just found out about this now. How did you pull a muscle? Did you pull your hamstring celebrating?
I think I just tweaked it because I shot up off the couch and I started running back and forth in my living room and I was like, ow, that hurts. I had to sit down.
I think we had pretty much the same reaction. I shot up off the couch and kind of jumped. Me and my grandmother were jumping up in the air, and then I ran over to my cousin and we were high-fiving.
Yeah, literally at the end there it was 1917, and of course we had 4 straight 3-and-outs, and then they start driving down the field, and I'm ranting. I'm like, this team, I hate this team. These stupid, I hate everybody. I hate life. This team sucks. Cut all of them. And then I had some buddies over, and I was ranting about the refs and our players and how our defense just gave up a drive at the end and stupid calls, and then they kicked the field goal, and I'm literally pouting, laying flat almost on my couch, and then I saw it hook right, and I shot up, and I was like, he missed it! He missed it! I started freaking out, buddy.
Yeah. I can't believe it. I mean, we are never on the side, I was going to say, especially people who listen to this, I'm assuming are Cleveland sports fans, but as they well know, we never get breaks like that. The football gods are not on our side when it comes to any kind of field goal, whether it be a 55-yarder to lose the game or a 40-yarder, let alone.
No, for sure, man. But yeah, basically, I guess you kind of already got our initial thoughts there, but just overall super massive win. I still can't almost put it into words how big of a deal it was that we managed to win this game, because we had a tough opening 5 games, and I've said it multiple times on the show that I predicted that we were going to come out of this 5-game stretch at 2-3. Now, the circumstances of which are played out differently in my head. Obviously, I didn't suspect us losing Nick Chubb and this whole Deshaun Watson shoulder injury happening and whatnot, but if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that Nick Chubb was going to get injured early on in the Steelers game and be out for the year, and Deshaun Watson was going to miss 2, maybe more games with a shoulder injury, we're still not sure, and we come out of a stretch where we play the Bengals, Steelers, Titans, Ravens, and Niners, and we come out 3-2, I'd be pretty damn happy about that.
Yeah, 3-2 is impressive, man. Especially once you get this win today, you beat the toughest team you have on your schedule. I mean, just coming into this week, if you would have told me, let alone that the Browns would have lost the turnover battle this week and we still beat the 49ers, I wouldn't have believed you.
That was one of your keys to victory, was winning the turnover battle. And we sure didn't, but hey.
Sure was.
We
sure did not.
We sure didn't. But with that, let's get into our usual post-game shenanigans. 3 things we liked, 3 things we disliked about the game. We'll alternate back and forth with old buddy Austin over here. I'll serve it to you first.
All right, man. So my first one is Jim Schwartz. What a guy. I'm going to start calling this motherfucker Jimmy Neutron, because the way he's coaching this defense, he's just freaking JOK. These guys that we all were about ready to give up on last season. I know Newsome kind of had a crappy season last year, but everybody that struggled last year has turned it around, has been absolutely killing it for us this season. So just Jim Schwartz, I mean, what else can you say? Browns fans have been harping on how great he's been all year.
He is that guy, pal. I might also start referring to him as Jimmy Neutron.
I think that's the best nickname we can come up for him.
Jimmy.
Good old Jimbo Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron. He be. I was gonna say neutering the defenses, but that doesn't necessarily go with Neutron. But we can we can go with it. But for my first positive of the week, it's a similar answer. I didn't want to be plain and just say the defense, so I'm gonna specifically point out the linebackers. I'm a big JOK guy, but like we always had questions about Taki. We know Anthony Walker's like solid but a limited skill set, and we felt like if there was a weak point in this defense, it's probably the linebackers. But they were flying all over the field today. JOK, they had him playing the Mike linebacker for a lot of the game, and he was killing it. He had a near interception over the middle of the field that would have been insane if he managed to hang on to it. And he had...
Yeah, that was a good play.
Yeah, for sure. And he had multiple plays in run defense and pass defense where he was, really rallying to the ball. Taki was really good in run defense. Obviously, he tends to only play mostly run downs. He was out there for some pass downs, but Taki's slowly getting better and better, and he played well. Awalk played well when he was out there. So I just wanted to point out the linebackers because I feel like of all the units on this defensive side of the ball, they get the least amount of love, and honestly, rightfully so, just because they're probably the least talented group. But I think they really stuck out today. So that's my first positive.
Yeah, they were great, man. I mean, both of them, too. You touched on Taki and JOK. They both ended up with the sack as well, which was awesome for us. JOK especially was flying, like you said, all over the field. I mean, he had a couple plays where I think he blew up a running back screen and just got a 5-yard loss on McCaffrey, I think it was. He made a couple really big plays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And I'm going to move on to my second positive, and you kind of touched on this last week. They actually mixed up the run game a bit, especially in the second half. I thought Ford in the fourth quarter looked a lot better than he has the whole rest of the year, pretty much. Kareem Hunt was running hard. He didn't have a ton of yards. He had about 50 yards, but he was hard. He had that one touchdown that we had, the lone touchdown Kareem scored. So I thought the running game was much improved. Definitely something to build on still. It's not perfect yet by any means, but I thought we were much improved in that area.
For sure. And my second positive was actually the exact same thing, sir. It was the run game, just because, kind of for the same reasons you already kind of went through it, as just the general mixing it up and getting different types of runs involved. We even got Marquise Goodwin on a rush, which was pretty sweet. And he broke a big one that he could have scored on almost if it wasn't for like a tough tackle. But that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, he's fast. I mean, you can just tell his speed out there.
Yeah, for sure. And they got like another quick, I think it was like another reverse type deal to Elijah Moore. I'd like to see a couple more of those out of him. But yeah, like you said, Jerome Ford kind of had a shaky first half. He was honestly kind of bad in like the second quarter. Like he had a couple runs where he just like had no juice and kind of just looked like the same old. But he came out. I'm not sure if there was like an adjustment made in the second half, because I kind of noticed they were running a lot of these tosses to him. And I don't know if it's something maybe like Nick Chubb worked on with them like in the offseason or something like that. But he kind of was mimicking how Chubb runs those toss plays, where he immediately gets north-south like as quick as possible on those toss plays. Even though it's an outside run, he was immediately exploding forward, so that way he could kind of cut into the defense and make a run that would maybe get stuffed for like a yard, 4 or 5 yards. And like you said, I don't want to harp on it anymore. Run game was much better. Kareem Hunt looked better. Ford looked better in the second half.
Yes, definitely. So my third positive was Amari Cooper being back in a big way this week. He had over 100 yards. Let me look at the stat sheet here. Yeah. Amari Cooper showed up, 4 catches, 108 yards. He had the one really big catch where he could have broke it for a touchdown, but I think the safety ended up catching up to him. So, Amari Cooper being back in the way that we needed him to as the definite number one receiver was huge for us this week, especially against the number one team in the league.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he came in. He looked really good. Obviously, only 4 receptions, not a ton, but every time he had the ball, he made an impact. And he had that really long 50.
Like the Randy Moss catch. He absolutely mossed that one dude on the right sideline where he skied for it and got both feet in bounds. That was impressive.
That dude is insane because, obviously, we've seen, we traded for Jarvis Landry, we traded for Odell Beckham, and those guys are both good in their own right. And obviously prime Odell Beckham was really something, but Amari Cooper fits the system so well, and he's that true number one go-to guy that is no nonsense. He's a great leader, and on the field he's a great route runner. He has great hands. He's not some superb athlete really, but he knows how to get open. He knows what he's good at, and I've never seen a receiver play to their strengths so well, at least in a Browns uniform, as I have with Amari Cooper. Because obviously with Odell and Jarvis, which are probably the other 2 better receivers we've had in the last 5 to 7 years, unless you want to like talk about Josh Gordon, but
Last
I don't want to get
decade
into
at
that.
least, yeah.
Jarvis, Jarvis had some issues, obviously, like just with scheme things, and then Odell Beckham, we all know about that. So, somewhat my point, it's just nice to see Amari Cooper play pretty well. I feel like I dragged on that a bit long, but that's okay. I'll get into my third point and my.
Oh no, you're good. I was gonna kind of go off that actually as well, real quick before you hit your third point. I did notice after the game, like the first person I saw jumping up and celebrating with the team was Amari Cooper. He like jumped up and hugged his teammates. So I'm like, you can tell he's great for that locker room.
Yeah, for sure. And then my last positive, I was kind of stuck between a couple things, so I might give a couple like super small shout outs without rambling on. I was kind of stuck between the fact that we were able to get Brock Purdy to throw his first interception on the year, because obviously that's a big thing. He hadn't thrown any picks on the year. I wanted to give a shout out to Dustin Hopkins because he was 4 for 5 on field goal attempts, and obviously he kicked the game winner, which that's a big one. And then a part of me kind of wanted to give some loves to PJ Walker's resiliency, at least in that fourth quarter, to, after throwing 2 picks and throwing a near interception in the end zone on that last drive, he kind of, stayed sharp and was able to command the team. But my last positive, I'm actually going to give it to Kevin Stefanski, especially in that fourth quarter. Obviously, like I just said, PJ Walker wasn't great. Obviously, he really toughened up in the fourth quarter, and he did a good job. But Stefanski on that last drive, at least on the drive we took the lead. I remember when we got the ball back, I was thinking in my head, I almost texted it to you. I wish I did, so I had physical proof. But I'm thinking, I'm like, a long drawn out touch drive would be like perfect right now. And then lo and behold, we have a nice long drive to get downfield, and then play calling was excellent. Especially in the back half.
It was.
And we got right into the red zone. And obviously, the Niners defense, I would say, is probably second to Cleveland right now. Without Nick Chubb, without Deshaun Watson, Stefanski was able to come in with a game plan, and he got the job done, especially down the stretch when, it's a little demoralizing when you have a lead and then you're backed up deep in your own territory, and then your quarterback throws a pretty bad interception, and then the Niners immediately score and take the lead. That can be like super demoralizing. Yeah. But he didn't bat an eye, and he trusted his guys and went out there and helped lead us to a victory.
The only thing I would say with that last drive, and this is more on PJ Walker than Stefanski, was the one pass play where he rolled out and didn't kind of run clock down. He almost threw that interception.
Yeah, that era I think was more on PJ, because it looked like it was more so meant for like it to be like a quick check down that stayed in bounds, or he just stays in bounds. But like he freaking like the number one thing that they say to not do as a quarterback is when you run outside of the pocket, don't try to throw it back towards the middle of the field. And he did that, and I'd be in a much different mood right now if it would have got.
That was
picked
close.
off.
Stefanski touched on it post game too. He said Walker knew he made the wrong mistake. He's like, either you throw that ball if he's wide open, or you just sit down on it and waste some clock. He's like, he understood that he made the wrong read there and almost made a turnover, but he didn't, thankfully.
Right, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, overall, I was pretty happy with that. And with that, 3 positives, and there's a lot more I'm sure we could talk about, but try to narrow it down so we don't have an hour-long video. But obviously, a win is a win. We
fucking won, baby!
Big dubs, buddy. But obviously,
big dubs. We're riding high today.
Riding real high, buddy. It's going to be a good victory Monday tomorrow. But with that, obviously, a big win, and we're happy about it. But it's not perfect. There's always things to, work on. And with that, let's get into our 3 things we didn't like or wish we could see worked on. I'll go ahead and roll first here. And the first thing I will point out is, of course, PJ Walker wasn't very good for a lot of this game. Like I said, he was resilient and, helped us, made a couple throws here and there and helped us, obviously win the game, especially towards the end, despite his errors. But with that, he did throw two pretty bad interceptions. The second one, it looked like he was like trying to throw Amari Cooper a 50-50 ball, but he just sailed it and just put he didn't put no zip on it, and it was just bad. It was straight to the defender, and
that was a questionable no call too, because it did look like the defender kind of pushed off and Cooper went out of bounds, so there was no PI call or anything on that.
Right? Yeah, the refs weren't great today either. I'm not gonna make rough excuses, but yeah, they weren't very good. But yeah, like as I was saying, PJ Walker, obviously he had the 2 picks. The one was pretty bad, and then there was one specific drive. I think it was the one that we ended up taking the lead on, or the one right before that. It was the one where we got the penalty on the defensive receiver. Was that the last drive we had?
Yes. Yes. It's that drive right before we got the ball back and then went down.
So,
are you talking about when Elijah Moore got hit on that slant route and
yes.
then they called the flag?
Yes.
Yes, that was the last drive.
Yeah. Okay. So I can make my point here. On that drive, there were 3 plays in a row that thank God we got bailed out because the dude killed Elijah Moore in the air. He had one play. It was first down. He steps up in the pocket. You know, it's not a clean pocket. He's got some pressure, but he's standing tall in the pocket, and he throws it over the middle, and Elijah Moore is screaming open, and he just way underthrew him. Like, it went straight to the dirt, like a few feet in front of him.
Yeah. He missed 2 of those in a row.
That's
back-to-back, first and second down. He stepped up, missed the first one bad, and then he stepped up again and missed him even worse, like just threw it straight into the ground.
Well, I guess you're just stealing my points, because that's what I was going to say. But, yeah, so he had that, and then obviously the one where he was rolling out and he underthrew it. And then on the one where Elijah Moore got hit with the defenseless receiver, he sailed that ball high and like really made Elijah Moore have to go up and get it. Now, obviously it worked out because we got the penalty and, you know, we're able to drive down. But, yeah, long story short, PJ Walker, obviously coming off the practice squad, there's not a lot of expectation. He was definitely at least better than DTR because he clearly is a seasoned vet who's like has some experience and some composure, but still not great. We need Watson back, but I will turn it over to you now.
Yeah, I pretty much concur with everything you said there. This is a point that I'm going to build off of that I kind of talked about in previous videos. We are very much still searching for that number 2 option at wide receiver. Just looking through the stat sheet here, Cooper, we already touched on, had 4 catches, 108 yards. Outside of that, every single receiver had less than 25 receiving yards, and our boy DPJ actually put up a 0. He had no catches. Doesn't say his targets here, but he had no receptions for absolutely 0 yards.
He was targeted once.
Okay, once, yeah. I was going to say, I don't even remember him in the game too much. It just seems like he's really struggling this year, actually getting separation, too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. You know, we brought in Elijah Moore to be like this weapon, and I definitely think he can be at times, but I think he was a little overplayed in his ability because he's been just kind of pedestrian in terms of his numbers. Obviously, he can make some plays, and obviously he's still an asset, and DPJ just hasn't really taken that next step. I'm kind of at the point where, like, I would like to see a little more Marquise Goodwin. I'd like to see Cedric Tillman get in there because he's kind of a similar role as a DPJ, so, you know, if things aren't going well, you know, maybe you throw a couple of those unfamiliar faces in there and see what they can get out of it, what you can get out of them, because, you know, you want to get as much production as possible.
Yeah, might be a good idea. I think, too, like you said, Elijah Moore's got a lot of potential. I mean, either him or Njoku, I think, is going to end up being that number 2 option, but I think somebody will step up.
Yeah, for sure. So with that, I think my second negative I'll get into, which isn't like a super duper one, but the safeties today were not particularly great. I wouldn't say they were bad, but like I noticed a couple plays here and there where Grant Delpit was like out of position. Same thing with Rodney McLeod. There was a specific play, the big Brandon Ayuk run that honestly probably should have helped him win the game on that last drive on the missed field goal. The big gain from Ayuk. I remember when I watched the replay, like he caught the ball on the sideline, turned upfield, and got past the corner. And I think it was both Delpit and Rodney McLeod were like within distance to rally to the ball, and it looked like they just were like moving at like a gear lower than they normally move at, because I didn't see a lot of effort on that play, and you would think, you know, when you're trying to, you know, seal a game, you would have a little bit more urgency to you. I mean, it could have been a very specific situation, and maybe I'm overplaying it a bit, but I just noticed a couple too many times where on the plays that the San Fran was able to get, it was either like Delpit or Rodney McLeod out of position. Thornhill I felt was fine. Obviously he got hurt, so he didn't play as much. Just to be a little nitpicky with the defense, just so I can have something to think about that they could work on, is I think the safeties weren't super great today.
Yeah, I concur with that as well. I was thinking of the same thing when you said that Ayuk catch. I remember specifically number 22. So Delpit, I remember kind of like looked like he was running through quicksand trying to catch up to Ayuk on that play. I think even Greg Olson on the broadcast kind of touched on it. He's like, what kind of went on in that play? He's like, it looked like, I don't know if it was lazy tackling or they just weren't trying to catch up to him, but he even pointed it out on the broadcast.
Yeah.
All right, and my next negative. So this is kind of a negative, kind of not, but I put lost turnover battle, but one question mark. So that was obviously one of my keys to victory last week. I said we needed to win the turnover battle to come in and win this game. I was way wrong there. Somehow we actually came away with a victory without winning the turnover battle. But still, I would like to see more turnovers. We got the one interception. I believe it was Emerson that got the interception. I really think he's going to continue to blossom into a great corner. With him, obviously, we have Newsome and Ward out there. We might have the best trio of corners in the league right now. So I'm really excited to see how he kind of continues to blossom and progresses as we move forward longer into the season.
No, for sure. I definitely agree. That group of corners is quite insane, and I think it's very future-proof for a long time because obviously they're all young and you want to lock them up as soon as you can, and I think that can be a great trio of corners for a long time. So 100% agree with you there. And with that, my last negative, didn't see Pierre Strong out there whatsoever, and I'd like to see him get some carries just because obviously we're kind of up and down about Ford, and we like Kareem Hunt, but we know he's kind of a little later in his career. Every time Pierre Strong has gotten the opportunity to carry the ball, he's either made a play or was able to churn some good yards, and I think he averages like the most yards per carry of the three main running backs on the roster right now. Obviously much less carries, but still I just like to see Pierre Strong get a little bit more touches because to me he's a big running back who I think is probably the most powerful of the three and has some explosiveness to him, so it'd be nice to see him.
Definitely. Draven and I were even kind of texting back and forth during a game about that because we were like, I think it was a series or one of the drives in the third quarter, I believe it was, when I texted you. And I saw Ford on the field for like 7 or 8 straight plays. And I'm like, man, where is it? Like, we didn't even see him all day. It was just a mix of, like you said, and Ford. And especially with a couple of the carries he had the one meaningless carry in the Ravens game, obviously. But that was like a 40-yard touchdown run. So I'm like, outside that, I'm like, we kind of want to see him more and see what he can do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then going on to my last one, this kind of is a callback for negative. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, I looked it up. Obviously not a great game today, but just on the season, he has a total of 6 catches for 75 yards. So
ooh, I didn't
if
know
we
it was
don't have
that
anything
low.
with him, I think, like you said, we're going to have to get Tillman more involved. It's pretty awful. He has 14 targets, and he's caught 6 of them. So he's caught less than 50% of his target or his attempts, and then he only has 75 total yards. So if he's not going to be producing like he did last year, we're going to have to find another option there.
Yeah, that ain't good. I didn't realize his numbers were that low. But yeah, like I said, that's why, give Cedric Tillman a shot. He's kind of a similar
Tillman, like
mold.
you said, is kind of that guy. Yeah, he's the same size, and I think he's got better hands, honestly.
Yeah, and he's also more. I was kind of reading his draft profile back when we drafted him. That he's really good about using his body and kind of putting himself in harm's way, almost to go up and get those jump balls. And I feel like sometimes DPJ doesn't do that. So I think Tillman overall has higher potential as a prospect.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not better right now, but I'd like to see him get in there a little bit.
I agree. With him, too, I mean, DPJ, it's weird because he has the physique to do it. He's very muscular. He's got the weight to do it, but you're right. He just doesn't really go up for those balls. He's like, you kind of want a physical receiver like that to go up and be able to get those 50-50 balls, and he just doesn't seem to have that.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. But yeah, with that is our main gist of the game today. Those are 3 positives and negatives as we do every week. Do you have anything else you want to add, sir, before we get on out of here?
No, I don't think so, man. Great Browns win. Like you said, being 3-2 as opposed to 2-3 through this tough part of the schedule is massive. So the AFC North, I think Bengals won again. So the worst team in our division is now 500. So it's going to be a dogfight the rest of the way out. But being 3-2 is a lot better than being 2-3. So we'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to beat the hell out of each other with for the rest of the year. But with that, that's pretty much our thoughts on the game. Big dub against, what I thought was either the best or at worst second or third best team in the league. So obviously that's huge, especially without your starting quarterback. And with that, really hope to get Deshaun Watson back next week as we play the Colts in Indianapolis, I believe. So we'll have a preview on that game coming up here later in the week. But yeah, once again, we appreciate you guys for watching. The last video is our best performing video so far. It's kind of getting towards 300 views, and we really appreciate that. So I hope that's showing that you guys are liking what we're
Yes,
putting
we do.
out. So with that, again, like I said, we really appreciate it. We're gonna keep working and keep getting stuff out. I say it every time. We got a little Guardians recap kind of in the brewery right now, and then obviously Cavs basketball's coming up, so we'll have a lot to talk about. And the Brownies are, back off the bye week, so we'll have those videos every week, and we look forward to making them and you guys watching them. So once again, it's been Cold Takes from the Land, and we will see you in the next video.
Cold takes from the land.